me say good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio, those of you in GBN TV. Good morning, welcome. It's To The Point. It's Wednesday, the 16th day of July, 2025. Welcome to today's edition. I'm your host, GT, and I'll be around with you until it's 10 a.m. this morning, hopefully. Let's say good morning also to those of you via social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning, and certainly happy to have you folks with us this morning. My guest in studio with me this morning, we have some folks representing the Ministry of Agriculture. Of course, we have Miss Allison Haynes. So let's say ladies first, right? She's the Chief Agronomist. We also have Mr. Thaddeus Peters. He's also the Chief Agriculture Officer. Good morning to both of you, and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning to your listeners, viewers, and followers. And thanks for having us this morning from the Ministry of Agriculture.
All right, certainly welcome. How are you folks doing?
Quite good for me.
Great. Yeah, we're doing great.
Kind of a spirit in the end, right?
Well, it's coming in, but following from the sidelines.
All right, man. All right, that's good. Of course, once you paid some attention to it works on some way or the other. All right, our focus conversation today, of course, we'll be talking about the lots of the happenings within the Ministry of Agriculture. That'll be our main focus of our conversation. And, listening to the various news lately, we hear lots have been happening. Lots have been happening. I was just yesterday I saw about the new tissue program that's coming out and so forth. We're going to talk about that this morning. So, for starts, how is things in general with the Ministry of Agriculture? Things in general within the Ministry of Agriculture.
If I should start, agriculture is always an area of interest. Agriculture is food production, for Grenada. Agriculture is income earnings and livelihood for a lot of persons in the economy. And it's a means of earning foreign exchange for Grenada, because we don't have minerals, we don't have all these other stuff. So agriculture from origin is a very important topic. Mm-hmm. So, and just about everybody is involved at some level. So it's always under the microscope, and rightly so. For food security or food and nutrition security, it's a critical area. So also we should bear in mind that we are still in recovery from the passage of Hurricane Beryl in last year, just about a year ago. So that again would have brought it into sharper focus. So with all this in mind, the Ministry of Agriculture continue to focus on its food and nutrition security, and in terms of its stakeholder base, its farmers, its agro-processors, and other traders in the agriculture sphere. So that's really what is happening. That's where our focus is. It's also one of the main pillars of the economy of the government focus going forward in terms of moving Grenada forward.
Okay, great. Now, Ms. Haynes, as a chief agronomist, how is it within your department?
Okay, so good morning, JT. Let me first of all say thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Sure.
Good morning to all of the listeners. I want to agree with Mr. Peters that agriculture is very important. And more so after the passage of Hurricane Beryl, we are in the limelight. The attention is on agriculture. From Hurricane Beryl, we lost a lot. If you look at the nutmeg industry, we had a lot of losses there. An assessment was done. More than 80% of the nutmeg trees fell, and we know the importance of nutmeg to us. Cocoa as well, our fruits. So we had a lot of damage. And so, as a ministry, as a sector, we had a lot to do in terms of the recovery of the sector. So I, as the chief agronomist, my focus is mainly on crop production.
Yes.
Right. So we are doing a lot of work in livestock and so forth, but my department's focus is to give support to the crop producing farmers, and we do that in two main ways. We have two main functions, or let me say three. One, we give support in terms of producing and making available the planting materials that the farmers need to grow their crops. Two, we bring the technology to them, so we bring that technical support, that technical expertise to the farmers, the training to build their capacity, and we also do a bit of research, right? So that's my department's main focus, and we are ably supported by the Extension Division, the Ministry of Agriculture. We work along, and the Pest Management Division. We work together. So we have been focusing on implementing that. We have a very big project that the ministry is now implementing. That's we have been implementing it for a while. That's the Food Security Enhancement Project. It's a $10 million project that the ministry has been implementing. And there's a crop component to that project, and there's a number of activities or programs under that crop component. Activities that are very important, that we have been implementing, and we want it to be successful, as I say, in order to create the impact. So under that crop component, the main objective of that component is to give support to a core group of farmers. So in Grenada we have lots of farmers. We have this subsistence farmers, we have the backyard farmers, but we're looking to give that support to a core group of farmers so that we can increase production. And we wanted to increase, our target is over 300 acres of food crops. And so we sat down and we came up with a good plan based on the traditional crops that we grow, our main export crops, what we eat. So we have targeted about 11 crops, right? Bananas, to increase production in bananas by over 50 acres, coconut by over 160 acres. We have the pumpkin, the root crops, the yams, dasheen, pineapple. So we have a targeted group of crops that we targeted. We targeting some specific farmers, and we're working to increase production, of course, with a strategic objective to increase our food security, reduce prices, because that's an issue in Grenada. So with the economies of scale, if we increase production, we should reduce prices, and just enhance food security here in Grenada, reduce our food import bill. As you know, we import a lot of the ground provision or root crop from St. Vincent and the coconut. So with the increase in production, we should address all of these problems. And so that is what we have been focused on, and we have been doing a lot. And so during this interview, I'll be able to explain.
Something true. I mean, we were certainly getting into the meat of the matter, of course, of these, the as you mentioned, the importance of the food security, and how secure we are in terms of food at this stage. Just before we get to depth in the conversation, I always want to find out, Hurricane Beryl has passed. We know that you did mention a lot of farmers lost a lot of their crops. How is it now in the recovery process, especially for farmers who may have lost crops and so forth? How are these things coming on for these farmers in terms of getting the particular crop that they of course spend their time taking care of and having it lost in the manner in which it's still, we understand it's a natural disaster, but how are farmers recuperating now?
Well, from the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, the ministry went into action mode. Immediately after the passage of the hurricane, we did an assessment of the damage. Our team of extension officers, agronomists, all our field officers, they were out to do the assessment to get a better understanding of what was the actual impact, the actual damage, and how we can help. So that was done for across the board. Then we took immediate action. Mr. Peter's farmers, the decision was taken to provide farmers with some financial support based on the level of damage, based on the acreage. So I believe over $4,000.
Yeah, so persons, so that was some direct income support to the farmers, and it was done in two tiers. So persons under 5 acres were given $4,500, and person greater than 5 acres would have received $9,000 payments. So that would have been used to assist with the recovery efforts, and in some cases, even, well, as the word said, livelihood support. So persons may had to do other recoveries, even outside directly on the farm. For example, you may have to pay labor, you may have to keep your farm going for 2-3 months while you do not have sale, no direct income to support your family. So that would have assisted farmers to get back onto the production mode. There were also other support. There were land clearing support, because we have what we call the ADAPT program, agriculture development, assistance. And that program, together with other initiatives, would have assisted farmers because they had some heavy moving to do, cutting of trees and so on. So chainsaw teams were engaged by the Ministry of Agriculture to assist farms with their land clearing and so on. So those things quickly would have assisted farmers to get back into production mode.
All right. So that's the stages.
Just to add to that, we also had the spice replanting program, where farmers received spice plants, and basically a lot of the farmers free from the government propagation station to replant the spices that they would have lost through the...
And I'm assuming farmers was very appreciative of that in order to get that level of things to recuperate and recover themselves back from the damages.
Yes.
Very appreciative of that.
Yeah, the farmers have shown some good interest. Most of this program, once it's rolled out by the ministry, you have good response from farmers wanting to participate.
All right, great. We drew for a break. Let's take our first break in this segment. When we come back, folks, we got much more to talk about. Stay with us, folks. To the Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We coming right back after the break.
In Grenada, sport.
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling Global Africa, the 4th edition of the Afri-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. Active 2025 is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, resilience and transformation, enhancing Africa-Caribbean economic cooperation in an era of global uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com.
JKT Entertainment is bringing the heat. It's time to feel the sound and smell the burn. Bass and burn, cars and noise. The automotive experience of the year. July 26th and 27th at the National Stadium Car Park. It's 2 days of adrenaline-fueled madness with over 30 show cars from Trinidad, including Lethal Auto, MacGyver Sounds, and Simplicity Creations, plus Grenada's own beasts bringing the noise.
He'll say your back, come touch me then.
Early bird tickets are just $50. After that, it's $60. Get yours now at GoToFed.com and all authorized ticket outlets. Gates open at 11 a.m. on both days. Sponsored by Country Cold Store, SP's International, Campari, Stag, Rubis, Fast Print, Waggy Tea, GMC, Rainbow Janitorial, Eco Blue, Spice Style Automotive, and McIntyre Brothers. It's back, and it's bigger, bolder, and funnier than ever. All Mass 2025 is coming to the Grenada Youth Center on Sunday, July 20th from 3 p.m. Brought to you by the St. George's Lions Club, Spice Mass Corporation, and Grenlec. Bring the whole family for an afternoon of laughs, local entertainment, exciting prizes, and a special appearance by the Carnival Queen contestants. Tickets are just $40 for adults and $15 for children 12 and under. Available from any Lions or Leo member. Grenadian Optical and Clear Vision. All Mass 2025. Sponsored by Demerara Mutual Life. I'm with them.
Back to our listeners, welcome back viewers to The Point for today, Wednesday, the 16th day of July 2025. Let me say welcome back, of course, Ms. Haynes and of course Mr. Peters with us this morning, representing the Ministry of Agriculture. Welcome back once again. I want to get into a meat of our conversation this morning. We're talking food security. You know, food security is important in today's economy, and how is Grenada doing, in terms of food security, in terms of the strides that we are making thus far? How is Grenada doing? If I could ask that off the bat to get the conversation rolling.
Let me say we still have a very high food input bill. Yeah. So from that context, I think we are still quite a way off from where we want to be. And it's not just unique to Grenada, across the Caribbean. So there are initiatives at the CARICOM level to reduce the food input bill that countries need to take on and focus on. So there is what we call the CARICOM 25 by 25 initiative. Okay. So that would have started in 2021, 2022, and it has now been extended to 2030 because we're in 2025, and that first initiative would expire at the end of this year. Okay. So the heads of states have expanded. So countries will target certain commodities and look for a reduction by 25%. So that's why it was 25% reduction by 2025. So you're looking at poultry, you're looking at vegetables, you're looking at things like coconut. Each country will decide which are the ones that they would like to target, right? So Grenada is part of that initiative, and we continue as we focus. So poultry definitely is one of those that will be focusing on. Currently, for example, we are now in the process of doing a hatchery at Maribor. Yes. So it's a sort of government private side contribution, like ADM, which is Caribbean Agro, is a stakeholder in that initiative. There's also another hatchery on island, private hatchery. So what happens is that chicks are imported, day-old chicks are imported from the outside. So we have to look at commodities as value chain. Yes. And the farmers want to grow their chickens, but we don't have a unit or a plan that is producing the day-old chick to standard. So this is a very critical step in that whole value chain for reducing the import bill of poultry, because we do consume a lot of chicken. Yeah, so we do consume. I, for one, don't. So that's just one, and Nomi Saints will want to add to the others.
Yeah. So I think we are far from being food secure as a nation. We can see it in our eating habits, the supermarket, and so forth, and of course the climate challenges, the weather. That does affect our production significantly. I mean, there are times when we make tremendous strive, we plant, and then a hurricane would come and, wipe our entire production. Yeah, and I know hurricanes, diseases and all of that. And so we have to face all of these things because of the humidity and it's all attributed to our climate, where we are strategically located. So we'll always have these kind of challenges, but there is a number of initiatives. We can't give up.
Can't.
We can depend on foreign countries and markets to feed us. We always have to continue to strive to enhance and improve our nation's food security.
Because we're always getting what they can spare. That's what I see it in that particular what they can spare, because they have to feed themselves too. You understand?
Right. So we have to be strategic, and I just want to speak to some of the initiatives that that is now being undertaken by the ministry. So we mentioned earlier the food security enhancement project, and it was a $10 million project. So of that $10 million, we have 2.4 million US, and that's US, that was allocated for initiative or for the implementation of the crop production component of the project. So it's 2.4 million US.
Okay.
Right? And as I mentioned earlier, that component sought to support a core group of farmers to increase production by the 300 acres. We have the targeted amount of crops. So what have we been doing with the funding, not to support the farmers? One, we have been looking at securing the best planting materials for our farmers. We have imported some of the planting material because here locally, the availability of planting material is very limited. Right? So we had to secure and import planting materials from outside of Grenada. So we imported 20,000 bananas and 15,000 plant tissue culture planters under that program just to support our farmers. We have also imported 12,000 coconuts, 7,200 of the oil nuts, and that will go towards supporting our coconut industry, and 4,800 butternut. All right. So we have also imported yams planting material from St. Vincent. We also procured over 70,000, just about 70,000 pineapple. So, and these are all the targeted crops. We know in order to increase production, we must have the planting material.
So true.
And we spent in excess of 490,000 US in the importation of this planting material. Of course, we have some good planting materials here locally that we can find from our local farmers, and we collected them and we multiply them on our propagation stations. And I must say that all of these planting materials so far that we have received, so only last week the shipment of coconut plants landed in Grenada. Okay. Right? Last week Thursday. So we are now at this phase where these plants are these nuts, because it's seed nuts, they would be germinated on the propagation station for distribution within the next 6 to 8 weeks to farmers. Okay. Right? We are expecting a shipment of the 70,000 pineapple. Is not here as yet. We are expecting that shipment soon, maybe by early August. We had some delays so that we can support the farmers. And so also we propagated a number of our economic tree crops, or traditional crops at the propagation station, in excess of 70,000 plants to provide to our farmers. So we invested a significant amount in planting materials to give support to the farmers so that they can have the primary material to establish the plots. So that's one. Another investment or another support, well, of course, the technical support. We have had a number of capacity building training. They are very targeted, so they'll be targeted to the banana production, pineapple production, all the crops that we targeted, yam production, looking at pest and disease, all the agronomic practices. And we've done a few so far. We've done banana, pineapple. We have done some yam, cassava training, right? And we plan to do more. So we have a number of other trainings still to be conducted by the ministry. This technical support to farmers. We have also invested in expanding and improving our propagation station under the facility, expanding the facility, the nurseries, and improving on the nursery. We were able to improve and expand on our propagation nursery at Boulogne. So we made some investment there, so that would help us to produce more cocoa, because Boulogne is one of our main cocoa propagation stations. So quality cocoa plants. So we got 300 feet nursery there at the station. So that was great. We were also able to procure fertilizers for our farmers and sell the fertilizers to farmers at a very minimal, subsidized nominal price of $50 a bag. So it's a 50 kg bag, so it's $1. We have it like $1 per kg. And in the selection of the fertilizer, we were very strategic again, ensuring that we select the right type of fertilizers for our farmers, looking at our soil type, the types of crops that we grow, ensure we have the right types of fertilizers to farmers to provide them. So we provided the farmers with a number of inputs, and I want to mention that a lot of the planting material I mentioned was given to the farmers free. Yeah. We only have the tissue culture plants, the bananas, that farmers were required to pay, or are required to pay, because we still have them available, $2 a plant. All right. So this is some of the support that we gave to the farmers, and we are now seeing the impact of some of these the programs that we implemented, because we are seeing some increase in food production in some of the crops. We are seeing now in Grenada an increase in the production of
plantains, sweet potatoes,
bananas, sweet potatoes. So we're seeing that the impact of the programs now, and we still continue to implement the program. So we expect great things. Yeah.
No, with the assistance that you spoke of in terms of what you give to farmers, how important is it for the continued monitoring from the Ministry of Agriculture, especially your departments, in making sure that when these assistance have been offered, the follow-up to continue looking at how farmers are making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do with the plants that they have been given and so forth? Is that something that a lot of attention is put into?
Very important.
Yeah.
It is very important that we follow up. Remember, I mentioned that and that is why I mentioned that we're targeting a core group of farmers. So under the program, we have given support to small farmers, receive small amounts, but that core group of farmers, that's the ones that we'll work with to monitor progress, monitor production. Does that mean data collection and everything is so important? Ensure that the planting materials are retained, because if we do not monitor, before long we might bring in all these elite types, banana and planting, as we say. If you don't monitor, in a few years you may ask yourself, where are they? So we need, just for that sustainability and that continuation of production, it is important to monitor our farmers. It's important to understand what is happening, what support the farmers, additional support the farmers would need in order to continue to sustain that production. So monitoring is very important. And we have the extension officers and agronomists, a team on the ground that would be required and are required to monitor, not all, they would not be able to monitor all, but we have selected a few of our large commercial farmers that will be able to monitor, so we'll get a sense of what is happening on the ground.
Yeah. And thus far the feedback has been
thus far the feedback has been good. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
And this is important because many times you find that projects start and projects end, and after the project end, everybody just go their own merry way and leave. Right, you know, happen more. Some continue if they may have no choice, but that's why the continuous support is important, so that the ministry, even though the food security project as a World Bank project has more or less ended officially, but the project from the Ministry of Agriculture has just begun, because we are still receiving planting material, we are still receiving fertilizers, so it's ongoing. It becomes part of the ministry's activity. So we are continuing to work with the farmers. We do admit sometimes there's little gaps in data collection, and it's something the ministry is also beginning to refocus on, because we think a lot is happening, and contributions, as I said, to what is agriculture's contribution to the GDP, and it's 4.5 or 5%, but we all think it's much higher.
Yeah.
It's just because that all that data is not always collected and reported and gets into the main statistics that it always reflects that we are doing a lower contribution. But definitely
it could be higher than
what is actually.
Not just could be.
I think we think it is higher. Yeah, it's just that
because what we focus on, we don't really see that. Or you said sometimes the data is not given the attention as it should.
Right. So that is monitoring is always important in any program.
All right. Anything else you want to add on that in terms of all that? Anything else you want to add on?
Well, for us, we at the ministry, we have noticed the increase in production in some of the crops, as we mentioned, and we just like to appeal to the farmers and the vendors to pass that we know that we have increase in production, to look at, we should see some reduction in the price.
Yeah. Well, how would the Ministry of Agriculture be able to have some control over that in particular? I guess you may not be able to, but if you're saying that you're seeing an increase in the production,
yes, we would like to see that spill over.
It should have a bit less in terms of the price and talk about that consumers will pay.
Yeah. So basically, it's like we don't have a direct control on the price. It's a open market, but by pushing production, pushing or pulling, it can be, from an economic point of view, economists will tell you more, you have an excess on the market, there is greater competition, you expect price to be depressed. Sometimes, our retailers, vendors, people have an expectation of what they need for the pound of sweet potato or plantain, and they will come to market with that in mind. But once there is that extra production and you want to get that stuff off your market, you need to make a deal. Some people, you might see people package something 2-pack for 5 or 2-pack for 10, where at the time when it's scarce, earlier in the year, a lot of items were scarce on the market.
So true.
3-4 months after Hurricane Beryl, lots of things was very scarce, and you're seeing sweet potatoes $10, $12 a pound. Now it's around 7 or 8, and we hope it will get down to 5.
And depending where you're going, it is empty.
Yeah. So not so long ago, sweet potatoes were $3 and $4 a pound. So these are the things that we are hoping to influence and on the market. One other thing that we don't do, and it's coming back to data, is what is the cost of production? Do we as farmers, producers, do we really measure what is the cost of the production?
What is costing the farmer to produce
1 pound of an item, exactly. So that you can gauge your selling price. And I think if it's done, you may see somebody say, no, I could actually sell this thing for $5, get it off my hand very quickly, and get back to producing something again. Whereas I'm holding on to $8, and everybody may not have the spending power to buy at $8, or they may buy 1 pound, whereas if it was $5, they would have bought 2 pounds. So these are the balancing act that needs to be out there, but it's sort of open market, and it's difficult, but we think as the main stakeholder, or one of the main stakeholder influencers from the production end, that we can, if we encourage increased production in a number of targeted areas, we can see a reduction in price over time.
And and certainly, hopefully, because I know consumers will be happy for cheaper prices.
Of course,
yes. If it's cheaper.
I believe the consumers too have a part to play. You can say. You can say no. If
the farmer is left with the product and it's at an excessive amount, you will say, well, I have to reduce my price.
Right.
But how can a farmer make those decisions properly in terms of, let me see how I can bring across this question to you. It costs me 50 cents in order to produce these particular crops from the planting stage to I'm just a mere figure I'm just using. But then I want to sell it for 10, which may not be that right for me in terms of the consumer may not want to pay $10 for it. And then 50 other farmers may have purchased from me, and we all left to that amount, that stagnant amount now, and all want to sell it for $10. How would farmers be able to make that right decision in terms of the reselling price or the retail price of product? How does the ministry have any way that or price control, and anybody could get involved in terms of talking to farmers, having that conversation with them? That's where the business part of things comes in now.
Yeah, that's where the business part. And we do have a number of business training with our farmers, and we always have these discussions.
Well, they are hearing to it.
And as Mr. Peters mentioned, it should be based on cost of production, and you determine what would be a markup, and you sell. It should not just be arbitrary. I want to make something cost me 50 cents, and I want to make $10 or 10 times the amount. It should not be like that. But remember that our farmers are not the only sellers. We have the middlemen in between, the vendors. A lot of our farmers, I know, they do sell to the vendors. So I would not put the blame just on the farmers.
I mean, directly on the farmers. But sometimes you think farmers are the vendors or farmers themselves. You get the impression that vendors are the farmers themselves. So then you do get that impression.
A lot of our farmers, they do have the middlemen, and they sell directly to the vendors. So we don't know the actual price that they pass on. They actually sell to the vendors, but the vendors sell directly to the consumers.
Right. So that's why I'm just asking the question if there's any control that could be come in between between the farmers who sell to a particular vendor and now the consumer sells. If there's any control that could be brought between them, there's not much could be done about that.
I think from the ministry end.
From the ministry may not be able to do anything about that. We're due for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, of course, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We come in right back. Don't touch it out. Stay with us.
Fly the Jones swoosh, it's Lava Man, and you already know the energy. It's all about GBN Spice of the Carnat Soca Mona competition. This year is going to be greater, bolder, more exciting than ever. And it's all about the quarterfinals on the 25th of July. The 31st of July will be the semi-finals, and the August 8th finals. Artists, if you think you have what it takes to own the stage, now is your chance. Get there, be there, see you there. Lava Man, the real mad one. Fly the Jones swoosh. GBN Spice of the Carnat Soca Mona competition.
JKT Entertainment is bringing the heat. It's time to feel the sound and smell the burn. Bass and burn, cars and noise. The automotive experience of the year. July 26th and 27th at the National Stadium Car Park. It's 2 days of adrenaline-fueled madness with over 30 show cars from Trinidad, including Lethal Auto, MacGyver Sounds, and Simplicity Creations, plus Grenada's own beasts, bringing the noise.
He'll say your back, come touch me then.
Early bird tickets are just $50. After that, it's $60. Get yours now at GoToFed.com and all authorized ticket outlets. Gates open at 11 a.m. on both days. Sponsored by Country Cold Store, SP's International, Campari, Stag, Rubis, Fast Print, Waggy Tea, GMC, Rainbow Janitorial, Eco Blue, Spice Style Automotive, and McIntyre Brothers.
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling global Africa. The 4th edition of the Afri-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum, Active 2025, is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, Resilience and Transformation, Enhancing Africa-Caribbean Economic Cooperation in an Era of Global Uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com.
natural disaster can change your life in minutes. Preparation is the best protection for your family and business. Prepare now. Create a disaster plan and make sure everyone knows what to do. Store water, non-perishable food, and medication. Remember basic emergency supplies such as batteries and flashlights. Trim overhanging trees. If trees near power lines are unsafe to trim, call Glen at 237 for assistance or advice. Install surge protectors to safeguard your electrical devices against outages and intermittent surges. Make sure your generator has an isolation switch. It will prevent power from feeding to our lines and electrocuting others. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Grenada, get ready for an event like no other as One Don Promotions presents Groovy White, a night where we celebrate groovy music on Saturday, July 19th at Radisson Hotel Car Park, featuring live from Trinidad, Mikel Tija, Ding Dong, also featuring College Boy Jesse and Kote. And from Grenada, the ultimate soca champion, Blacka Dan. Two Blacks, Thaleen, Mr. Golden, Vaughn, and much more. Hosted by Shortleg and Rachel Price. Early bird tickets are $75. General admission $100. VIP $400. Available at all authorized ticket outlets and gotofed.com. Saturday, July 19th. Don't miss Groovy White as we celebrate groovy music at the Radisson Hotel Car Park.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, of course, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. Welcome back to my guest once again as we continue our conversation. Of course, in this segment, to our listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two you may like to ask my guest, feel free to do so. 435-2041 as we go through this segment. We have roughly 15 minutes left on today's program. Before we do start accepting the calls, I want to get a brief update on, of course, the livestock. We know we have, was it earlier this year?
Yes.
We had some animals who were brought in and so forth. How is that going place? How is I'm not sure if they have started distribution and stuff as yet. I'm not sure. But how has that process been going on thus far?
Well, so far, the animals are still at the stations, the specific stations.
So no distribution as yet?
No. So they have gone through a quarantine phase of, acclimatization, treatments, and so on. So we would have brought in roughly just over 460 animals. Okay. So they included sheep, about 144, goats, 160, and pigs, I think it was 162, 164 that came in. So the pigs are housed at the farm school, the piggery there in Maribor, and they came in as small as piglets, but now they are like 200-300 pound animals that really waiting to go out. Okay. So for the pigs, 10 farmers have been selected, and they will receive their pigs shortly. In fact, they should have they just a little administrative issues to clear out of the way for them to get the pigs. So this will go into a breeding program, because the whole objective of the program is to improve the local stock of animals. So these you do periodically to improve your stock, because when you have continuous breeding in the same gene pool, you could have deterioration on your quality and so on of the animals. So the person selected, they will cross with their own local, so they'll receive a male first of all, and they will have that breeding and crossing. So once you have the litters come through, others will be selected. Those that are not of the quality for continuing in the breeding, these will go to slaughter. Okay. Right. So although it's a breeding program, there will be animals made available for slaughter. Okay. So after about 5 or so generations of breeding, so to speak, you get to a stage where you'll have that sort of improved and what we'll consider a local breed.
Okay.
Because it would have crossed with local stock. And you'll have now a local breed that will contain upwards of probably 90% of the imported breed. So for pigs, we had Duroc, Large White, Berkshire, and Landrace. And there is a structured way of doing it. I'm not the vet or the livestock officer, so I don't want to get into all the fine details and say something off. But these are the four, and in fact, some of them, like the Duroc, for example, will be given to farmers in the south of the island. St. George's, what we have 4 agricultural districts. The east, like St. Andrews, will receive the Large White. The west, the Berkshire, and the north, the Landrace. But then there will be a switching after a time so that you get other crossbreeds as time go on. But basically, that's the breeding program. The sheep are housed in St. Patrick's, and they are already into litter, the sheep and the goat. So we have had young ones coming up. So these are even more now local because they gave birth here and they are growing in our environment.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's an addition that we can really speak on. And the goats are housed at the government station in Laura. Again, all of them will go through the similar breeding phase. The assessment for the sheep and goat will begin next week. So now we'll be going. Although we have a list of farmers, we'll be ensuring now that the conditions are right, and then we'll have a selection process that for the distribution of those animals.
Right.
to those
and I will always like to stress the importance of monitoring.
Yes.
Sometimes the farmers get these animals and then
this one, the breeding program will be this one. I'm confident that we'll have that close monitoring because it's like a scientific process.
Yes.
And we have to have so our frontline officers, our veterinary officers will be doing close follow-up. It's a big investment. And we also want to get it right. It's for food security. We expect increased production from these animals, and not just expect. We are already seeing, based on the rate of growth and that we are seeing already, we will definitely have increased production, increased live weight, increased carcass weight for market.
And absolutely, that will certainly help in diminishing the importation, especially on that scale.
Definitely. From that angle, I know that's a very, very timely and a very significant injection into our animal sector, and it's something that I know have very keen interest. And there will be, spin-off. It's not that we'll be sticking. We are aiming for each of the categories to have at least 25 persons involved in the breeding program. But once they have litter, those that are not selected for the official breeding program, to spill off, you can get other farmers who can also get access as time goes on. So going into 2026, we expect other farmers to be involved.
So as it stands now, most farmers are getting them for the breeding purpose.
Yes, the breeding purpose.
So at least to expand on.
But those who get it for the breeding purpose, there will be some that do not make breeding. These will go into slaughter or probably sold or given to your neighbor or somebody. So you have that gene pool that is being improved.
Okay, great. So folks, that's what we're going to entertain some of your calls. 435-2041, 435. We have roughly 10 more minutes left on today's program. If you do have a question or two you'd like to ask my guests, feel free to do so. I beg of you to be brief with your question, please. 435-2041. We have our first caller. I guess we lost that caller. 435-2041. You also have the option of calling via the WhatsApp. Let's go to our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Well, good morning. Thank you. Now, I'm glad. I congratulate the Ministry of Agriculture on making efforts to improve agriculture in Grenada, but I'm not happy with the way the extension officers operate. I'll tell you, after burial, the guy happened to meet me on the road outside Milan. but he never came in. I was able to go and count. I lost 63 nutmeg trees and 16 cocoa, so many cinnamon and so on. But so what I would recommend is that the ministry has a system whereby every week these extension officers must give an account of their activities, and there must be consultation with farmers to double check to make sure that they actually visited these people. Previously, the past extension officers who visit me, they actually did a yam planting project on my plot. But this new person they have there now, he just passing. He's not coming into the land. He's not seeing things happening. And another aspect that is a discouragement in agriculture is theft. In the land picking cocoa, when I'm coming forward, I missed 3 bunches of rock fig. One time. In 1987 August, somebody borrowed me a bull, and they haven't returned it yet. And then I happened to spend 3 days having to go to court because a fellow stole me nutmeg. I didn't get paid for the nutmeg. I didn't get paid for the time lost. So these things have to be looked at differently, because as farmers, we need the support, not just talk support or financial support, but we need hands-on support in what we're doing. And last thing, this thing is talking about costing of production. Farmers wouldn't do that because too many little items have to be taken into consideration. Preparation of soil, purchase of materials, fertilizer, labor, transportation. Farmers not coming home and write up a spreadsheet to do this kind of thing. That, I think the ministry has to formulate a spreadsheet and give it to farmers. And some of the more intelligent farmers will attempt to fill that. But the regular farmer, the ordinary farmer, after he comes from the land and tired, he ain't bothering with that. So we have to find another way of doing it. But
thank you, Colin.
I congratulate the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Very, very, very good highlighted points by the caller. So in terms of, I'll just briefly, you have another call?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just briefly, talk about the theft. Près de Lassonnet is an area we didn't quite mention, but we have started back the Près de Lassonnet unit. So 43 recruits were recently graduated and have now been posted out in the various agricultural districts to give support to farms, reports, and surveillance with regards to Près de Lassonnet.
Okay, great. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to you guys.
Good morning to you.
There's a problem with vets in this country. So how do the farmers that access these animals access vets easily? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Guess you heard the callers.
Okay, so the Ministry of Agriculture Veterinary Service currently includes 4 veterinary technicians that will be made available to service the farmers, and also you have the livestock assistants who can also provide the service. We recently had, for this year, we had 3 additions to the staff. So I know it was a main issue for the past 2 or 3 years, but in 2025 we have added 3 vets to the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture.
So we hope to get more assistance going out.
Yeah.
We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're live. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, sir, and good morning to the guest. I'm listening to Mr. Marcel, and I'm wondering how can he help us to get people to walk the lands. When you call somebody to walk the land for you, they do 1 hour walk. And sometimes when you reach there, you wonder if they come at all. Could we get him to get people to train them how to walk lands? We the people that cannot do all this work again, our lands are just there. Could we get people to train them how to walk the land? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Respond to the caller if you are able to.
I think just my opinion as to that. It's it's an issue. I mean, it's a complaint that lots of farmers have, and they have raised it with the ministry. So I see it as a need. There is a need to train a cadre of workers as to how to perform these the agronomic tasks, work, pruning, fertilizing.
It's another task itself, huh?
Yeah. So I think it's an opportunity for a private individual. I mean, the ministry do provide the farm labor service. For the ADAPT program, we do provide that support. But I think it's an opportunity for a private person to get into that business, train a cadre of workers. You can go over that team and provide that service.
And offer that service to farmers, so we can have a daily, weekly, or monthly opportunity to provide you with workers.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Somebody could take up that opportunity.
Yeah.
We do have another caller. Caller Live, good morning, you're welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I joined a bit late. I'm not sure if that question was asked. Do you all have any intention of helping farmers to clear their lands and to replant certain long-term crops? Like I said, I joined late, so I don't know if that question was asked before.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's not wide. We would have done support, as we mentioned, after Hurricane Beryl in terms of clearing, but that sort of phased out. We now have the ADAPT program, but it's not targeting all farmers across Grenada. There is limited funds, so we have to operate within what is allocated. So on that program, we are now doing 80 to 90 farmers, and again, for those doing selected crops, around 7 or 8 crops under that program. So it wouldn't be a blanket program. There are other projects that may give assistance, but there is no general program that you can just walk in and then we give support for clearing and so on. So if you get into the ADAPT program, you can get some support.
Okay. We lost that caller there. 445-2041. We have approximately 2 minutes before 10 o'clock before we take a wrap. And if a caller comes to the crew, then we just get some closing compliments before the wrap. 445-2041. 435-2041. And we may have exhausted the calls. I guess everybody may have understood what we talk about this morning. So let's get some closing comments this morning in terms of our entire conversation this morning that we spoke of. We spoke a whole lot in terms of the importance of what we talk about the programs that have been put out, in ways of that food security and much more. So let's get some closing contributions from you all this morning.
Well, I'm happy to have been on the program to have highlight some of the activities of the Ministry of Agriculture, and I trust that with this planting season, I know we have had early start to the rain coming in, that we can continue to focus and increase our production and have greater income for farmers and all our stakeholders.
All right. Anything, Ms. Haynes? Anything in closing?
Like we said, we still have a lot to do. We are far from being food secure. So, as a division within the ministry, we will continue to work with our farmers to ensure that we implement whatever program that the ministry would be implementing at the time, because there will be a lot of other programs. We're not going to stop. So we look forward to working along with the farmers. We look forward to the cooperation of the farmers, the understanding of the farmers as we build the sector.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. But I want to thank you both once again for coming and speaking this morning as related to food security. I hope that the next conversation we have, it will be where you will tell me, well, that increase in food security and where Grenada is no longer dependent on an outside sources, just outside sources, and of course the livestock and all the other programs that are soon implemented, that farmers would make use of it, and of course help to make Grenada, and get to a stage where our food security is at a level that we don't need to worry anymore. Hopefully.
Good.
Thank you both once.
Thanks.
Hey folks, that's we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thanks all who contributed, those of you who called in. I know there were some late callers. There were callers who, of course, was a little bit impatient, so they cut off. Of course, join us again for another edition. That's what we say goodbye for today. Have a good one, folks, and have a good day, folks. Goodbye.